Shalom, my friends. We're going to talk today about a very interesting topic. Our brothers and sisters, the soldiers in Israel. There are some people that make a mistake. And they say, well, the soldiers are great, but who knows that they're not religious enough. They don't observe. They say, how could we respect the soldiers? So we have to remember that these soldiers, the way our Rebbe taught us, are the holiest thing, the holiest people that our nation has. These are the soldiers that give up their life on a daily basis so that their brothers and sisters should be safe. This is the concept of Mesiras Nefesh. Mesiras Nefesh is putting your life on the line. And we were taught by our Rebbe that these soldiers are very, very holy. There are people that their whole life, they serve God, they get A, they do so much, but they don't have the greatness of Mesiras Nefesh, of putting their life on the line and dying for God, being killed because they are Jewish. There's a fascinating story of the holy Bet Yosef. We have to think now who the Bet Yosef was. The Bet Yosef was, he was the father of the Jewish law of Halakha. He wrote an amazing commentary on the Maimonides, known as the Kesef Mishnah, explaining the Maimonides, his sources. Then he wrote a long commentary on the Tur. The Tur wrote the first code of Jewish law. He explains where the Tur gets his sources and goes into deep analysis of the halacha. Then in addition to that, he made the code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch, that we follow till the Messiah comes. The entire Jewish nation says, what does the Shulchan Aruch say? So listen to this. He had an angel that would study with him, the Maggid. The Maggid told him something amazing. He said, if you will merit, you will die for the sanctification of God's name. Al Kiddush Hashem. Now, obviously, for some or other reason, he didn't merit, but he lived a wonderful life. The entire Jewish world is eating out of his hand till today to know what the law is. Nevertheless, dying al Kiddush Hashem is greater, and he didn't merit. So we see that these young boys and girls that put their life on the line to save their brothers and sisters, there is nothing holier than them. It is greater than all greats. I remember when I was in Israel some 30 years ago, they had the bar mitzvah for the children who didn't have a father, who died in military. The Rebbe encouraged them. They made a beautiful bar mitzvah in Kfar Chabad. And all these wonderful children. I remember tears listening to one of the kids saying, Papa, you're going to be proud with me. I believe in God. I'm going to make you proud. It was such an amazing moment. You have these children that don't have their father to be with them at the bar mitzvah, to put them on their shoulders. All the Chabad Hasidim would take them on their shoulders, give them a great time by the directive of the Rebbe. The Rebbe says we're not allowed to forget these people who gave their life to save the country of Israel, to save their brothers and sisters. There was another interesting directive of the Rebbe. Until today it's kept. That every year on Purim and on the holidays, Pesach, they should go visit the widows and the orphans that gave their life to save the country. We have to tell them thank you. We have to realize how great they are. Very important. We spoke previously about the unity in the Jewish nation. We have to appreciate each other. We have to appreciate those soldiers. They're the holy of holy. We also have to appreciate those that study, those that pray. We're not allowed to have a split in the Jewish nation, because those that pray, their prayer is what makes the soldiers together, united, have a supernatural victory. Because victory, war, those that look at the wars going on today in the world, it's not won by might. You could see clearly godly intervention. And Israel has won all the wars. Otherwise, we don't want to think what would be otherwise. But there was a godly protection. We have to unite. The time has come to unite, to look at each other. This is very important. And it says by King David that he would give the spoils of war, partially to the soldiers, partially to those who stood at home, equally, because you need a backbone to the Jewish nation. We need to respect each other. There's a beautiful story with the Rebbe. There was a group of soldiers that were terribly hurt in the war, in all the wars. They came to visit New York with their wheelchairs. And they came downstairs, they were brought down, the Rebbe came and spoke to them. They had a name. The name was Nechei Tzahal. Nechei Tzahal means the invalids of Tzahal. The Rebbe said, I want to change that name. It should be Mitzuyonei Tzahal, the heroes, the elite of Tzahal. You gave your health and your limbs. You gave so much to the country. You are the heroes of heroes. You're not an invalid who needs a wheelchair. I remember it was such an uplifting talk. Then I heard a story from my very dear friend, Rabbi Y.Y. Jacobson. He said at that time, the Rebbe normally would stand and give out dollars. The Rebbe went and gave from wheelchair to wheelchair and gave each one $1. One of the people that were there was a very successful young man, tough, strong, the leader of the pack. Most eligible bachelor. He was a great, successful guy. And a terrible grenade went off, and he lost both of his feet. He said he was so down. Nobody could look him in the eye. His girlfriend, his parents, they felt so bad, but no one could look him in the eye. The Rebbe, when he went to his wheelchair, looked at him in the eye and said, "Thank you," and gave him $1. That first look of the eye, that thank you, he said, is what cured him. He went back to Israel, got his life together, and became one of the greatest architects in Israel. But it was that look in the eye, thank you. We must unite as a people. And since my whole life, whenever I was at a gathering of the Rebbe, he would speak with such fervor about Israel, about how important it is to keep the security of Israel, May God guard our people. And may we overcome this difficult strife period. It almost sounds like a civil war is about to erupt. We should have a strong nation, united, and this is how we will be protected. When we are united, no one could get us. There's a beautiful medrash. The medrash says on the passage, Atem nitzovim hayoim kulchem. You are standing before God. Says the medrash, if you have reeds, sticks, every stick alone you could break. Together you can't break them. The strength. The Jewish nation is nitzavim, is successful when they're united. So I heard the story when I was growing up in Montreal from Rabbi Isaac Shvei, who was one of the great rabbis of Canada. He told me an interesting story. That Henry Kissinger, someone met Henry Kissinger and asked him, why don't you put pressure on Israel to give Jerusalem to the Arabs? Why only the other parts of Israel? To which he responded, very interesting. He said, because the other parts, you're fractured. Some say to give it, some say to keep it. But Jerusalem, you're all united. Not to give it, it's the holiest city in Israel. We learn from this, we must be united and we must respect each other. All of us have gifts, and I really bless our brothers and sisters in Israel to see the good in each other and to strengthen each other. And the way the Rebbe started the amazing mitzvah campaign. The mitzvah campaign of soldiers putting on tefillin, because that's what keeps us safe. We should put on tefillin. There's also an amazing story, and I'll finish with this. The days leading up to the 6-day war, the Rebbe would call for rallies of the children. They should say passages of Torah. He would sometimes call them at 10 o'clock in the morning, 4 in the afternoon, get the kids and say passages of Torah. Because there's a beautiful passage. The passage says, Mipi oililim v'yoinkim, from the mouth of children you destroy the enemy. And people were wondering, why these funny times? Why 10 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon? Why? Why make different changes? Later they found out from documents that whenever the Rebbe called a rally, that was when all the Arab generals from different countries were getting together to plot to erase Israel. Let us all be united. Let us all be one and see the beauty of those soldiers and see the beauty in each other. And may we march as one nation to have the Moshiach come and redeem us soon in our days.